Well, after our right backs decided they didn't want a Club World Cup alongside their Champions League to end last season here at Benfica, it's now time to get stuck in to our second one. We've got a couple of transfers and then we've got two Supercups, the Portuguese one where we take on Sporting and the UEFA one against Manchester United. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 99 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Benfica. I hope you're doing well and come up today. Got a couple of Super Cups to kickstart our season here, the 2033-34 one and second one at this Portuguese giant of a club where hopefully can go pretty close to defending our Champions League crown and also walk our way again to a league title. First up, the Super Cup against Sporting here in Portugal, and then off the back of taking on the Logo Thieves in our first league game, we've also got Manchester United in the Super Cup, seeing as those guys are the defending Europa League champions. Hopefully looking forward to that as well as some transfers that will kickstart today's episode, but it does come off the back of the Club World Cup yesterday, the knockout stages. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Unfortunately, got knocked down in the quarterfinals because our right backs decided that we didn't want to win that tournament, a red card, and the other one that came on had an absolute stinker as well. So unfortunately, couldn't quite pick up the double there of the Champions League and the Club World Cup. But since then, we have done a fair bit of transfer business. Let's make our way here over to the transfer history, and you can see we've spent £13 million overall, which was a little bit more than the budget that we had. A couple of interesting sales from the first team, as you'll see over on the right-hand side. We have only done those in areas that we could improve in our first team. Obviously yesterday too, it won't show here, so actually that's the extra money that we spent there on the left hand side, but of course Max Johnston, that £12 million fee, that's why we were able to spend that extra bit of money there than we did have in our transfer budget, seeing as he of course could not be registered for the Champions League last season. But the players from the first team that we've got rid of, the first one was Nicolas Martinez off to Al Hilal, to be fair. That's the case with both the first team players that we've sold here in this window so far. He last season was our backup left winger, and that potential wasn't actually that high these days, especially with an option out there who cost a lot less than what we got in for him of a fee of £23.5 million. Nicolas Martinez off the back of a pretty good season here last year, 8 goals and 9 assists off the bench, but he's made his way there to Al Hilal, and that's because we brought in as a replacement Marcelo Rodriguez from Boca Juniors, another Argentinian, but he does look a little bit better in that inside forward role on support and also has a fair bit more potential as well. So that's the reason that we did let go there of Martinez. Do need to train him to get rid of that runs with the ball down right, because obviously we're going to use him here as a left winger, but he does look like a pretty good pickup for a fee of only £8 million. So quite hopeful that that's going to strengthen us there down our left-hand side, especially if Kalafatoglou does pick up an injury. And also the big transfer that we've done off the back of the Club World Cup, Eden Husic has gone to Al Hilal as well for a fee of £39 million. Now obviously that doesn't seem like too much for the guy who was our player of the season by a fair margin here at Benfica when we did pick up that Champions League as well as the rest of that quadruple, but he did want that move, and we could find some players that we could pick up with the extra money who were upgrades. So we let go of Eden Husic. It is a profit for us there, seeing as we signed him for $20 million just on a year ago, but last season you saw it in the end of season review off the back of that Champions League win. He hit an absolute blinder, so we do let go there of our first choice right winger and spend a fair bit to replace him, $68 million up front there for Mateus Henrique from Arsenal, a Brazilian at 22 years old, but it does look pretty good as that winger, and I take you'll see it there actually would be quite good too as an inside forward if we decided to play those on both sides of our wings here at Benfica, but he does look like a very good player, and I think a bit of an upgrade on Eden Husic. So those are the transfers that we have made. Ideally, he would have actually been interested in joining us here last year, but unfortunately, Arsenal did pick him up, had a solid season there, and they got him for $15 million. They actually make there quite a nice profit, but of course these days, we're a 5-star reputation club, can attract some players a bit better than what we could get in our first season here at Benfica. So that's what we've done so far here. There are still, though, a couple of transfers that could go through. Bruno Vitorino might be on his way out for a fee of $7 million. There was actually someone in our under-23s a bit better than him in that shadow striker role, so that won't hurt us too much. Another homegrown player can step up into our first team. And Yuko Amori, $29 million from Aston Villa, with $2 million left in our transfer budget, and that $7 million there from the Vitorino sale. I think we can improve on him. We'll see if that goes through before the UEFA Super Cup, where we do take on Manchester United. But obviously, there's absolutely no changes to our tactic, even though to get beaten in that Club World Cup quarter-final. We did win the Champions League last year and also romp home quite easily in the Portuguese League too, so absolutely no reason to change anything here in our tactic. The changes to our first team. Now, a couple here aren't actually being shown in the team for this game, seeing as there are a few who do sit on heavy workloads, but Robert Renan would slot in there alongside Nyanzu at the back. Rui Silva drops down to the bench, which I know is a little bit harsh considering how good he was last season, but Nyanzu does look like a pretty good like-for-like replacement. So Nyanzu there will pair up with Renan. Also, usually, if we go down here, Jesus Forte is still a bit angry at him with that red card and also on a heavy workload. So that's the change there at the back in midfield. Habib Diarra comes in, another one of our free signings, as a deep-lying playmaker. Bit of an upgrade there on Florentino Luis, and actually a bit of a change in our rotation options. Luis looked a bit better than Monsalvo as a centre mid, and Monsalvo a bit better than Luis as a deep-lying playmaker. So maybe had that the wrong way around last season. So Luis will go in there when we use our rotation, and Monsalvo will come in for Diarra and up front. Obviously, we've got Enrique there at right wing. Usually, it would be Calafitoglu at left wing, but he is on a heavy workload. So a couple of changes, but not too many, to the team that did so well in the Champions League and, of course, the Portuguese League for us here at Benfica last season. Hopefully, can get off here to a good start in today's episode by picking up an early season double, starting by trying to defend the Supertaca here as we take on Sporting, the team that did finish third in the league behind Braga and us last season, but of course they did pick up the Portuguese Cup, seeing as we lost in our very first game in that competition to a team from down in the second division. So it definitely is a bit of a goal for us here this season to complete the set in Portugal alongside that Portuguese League and hopefully the Champions League again. But definitely want to start off the season well here with a win in the Supertaca. Just checking how much they've done in the transfer market themselves. Let's check out their ins and see if they've spent a lot of money, and it doesn't look like it. Honestly, they're not doing as much as we are here with this Benfica team, which I suppose is expected being the defending champions of Europe. Their big signing, Marco Cetrangolo from Partizan. He looks okay in terms of mentals, but I think our signings are a bit of an upgrade on what those guys have done. So we definitely should still be the strongest team here in Portugal. A quick check out too of what the season preview looks like before we get stuck into the Supertaca. And indeed, the quite clear favourites to defend our title in Portugal and hopefully can pick up a domestic treble and hopefully a domestic quadruple if we can start things off here with the Supertaca. So our changes to our regular first 11 for this game come on the right hand side of defence. We've got Pretty in there over Fortea on that heavy workload and still a bit angry, as I said, from that red card in that Club World Cup quarterfinal. Also, Rui Silva gets the first crack there alongside our new man in Tanguy Nyanzu. Of course, Diarra comes in that deep line playmaker role. That's the usual change to our first choice 11, and our new signing in Rodriguez gets a crack there at left wing with Calafitoglu sitting on a heavy workload. Could have put Duncan Hansen on the bench, the young Kiwi wonder kid who we got in our youth intake last season, but probably not the best idea. Calafitoglu isn't actually that injury prone, but obviously on a heavy workload first game of the season, don't want him to get injured this early on. So we'll see how our new signing does get on here on that left-hand side, and if we need to, Calafitoglu can come off the bench. But surely the defending European champions, even with just a few changes, some players that might not be super familiar with their new roles here in this team, they should be upgrades, can get the job done here and start the season off with a trophy before maybe things get a bit tougher in the UEFA Super Cup, albeit first Holland Quinoa will put that one away into the bottom right corner. So unfortunately, that's not too tasty for us. Ben White there with the throw-in. In fact, it's Quinolis, not quite the food reference there. I thought it was, but Suarez there into Ben White, and Quinola gets that shot away, and it takes a good deflection there off Rui Silva, which is disappointing, and makes its way past Andre Lunin, who's someone that we might actually need to consider selling in the final year of his contract. There is some Saudi interest, and he doesn't want to renew his contract. It might be quite tough to find someone who's an upgrade on him, but we'll see what we can do, especially at his age. The fee, it would not be too good, but unfortunately go 1-0 down here in our first game of the season, which is for a trophy. But now we've got a corner on Reek there, tries to play that one into the mixer, it gets cleared away, but now we're back on the attack. Castillejo will try and put that one into the bottom left corner, and it's saved well there by the Sporting goalkeeper. So unfortunately, now that we're starting to get on the front foot, can't quite level things up here with only 10 minutes left in this first half. In fact, completely butchered that bloke's name who scored the goal. It's Queen, but to be fair, They've not been on the ball too much off back of that goal they scored. It's the only attack so far in this game, so let's hope here that we can make sure we make it 1-1 going in to the second half. Now here it's Clara who plays a nice ball out there to Nadi, who squares at the goalkeeper, parries it away, and we're not quite in the right place there to bundle that one home. The highlight does come to an end there before the ball goes out, and despite the fact that they've only had one attack so far in this game, we're 1-0 down at half time here in the Super Cup, and honestly, there's a fair few players out there on some quite poor ratings. Nadi on a 6.4 will take off there for Ronaldo, as well as Matthias Enrique on that yellow card. For Mats Sosa will make sure that he isn't easing off tackles going to the second half, but that is not that bad a first half in terms of stats, but unfortunately our finishing has not been too good, and somehow actually I forgot about Rui Silva, the deflection that did lead to the goal, and he picks up a yellow card of 6.2, so maybe indeed Renan's the guy who should partner Nianzou for the rest of the season. We'll bring on Miguel here for this game, but usually Renan and Nianzou, I think, our first choice in the back pairing here this season with Benfica, so that not a great start to Silva's second year here at the club, and now we've got Rodriguez on a red heart, and Fabio Ronaldo has just picked up a foot injury. So what we're going to do here is bring on Escudero. Thankfully, we've got him on the bench saying as we actually had the Ronaldo covering right back with no Fortea, and now they want us to make that sub again. So Escudero at left back and Calafatoglu will come on at left wing. Let's hope that he now does not pick up an injury now that we've made all 5 of our subs, but somehow here we're still 1-0 down. Certainly not super dominant in this game, but hopefully going to get a chance here to make this one all like it should be. But sloppy there on the ball, and it does mean that Sporting can try and get something going on the counter attack, but thankfully they just hoof that one clear, and Miguel can take his time before picking up Purdy down that right-hand side. Interesting pass there. Thankfully, Castillejo can tidy things up now. Matsoso will cut inside, picks out Calafatoglu on the edge of the box. Some lovely footwork, squeezes it for Kawamori, but good save there from the Sporting goalkeeper. So unfortunately, just can't quite score here in the Super Cup. Will be disappointing. I don't think it's a home game, but we have been drawn as the home team, and to be fair, the crowd looks pretty heavily in favour of Sporting, at least in terms of the angle that we can see near now. About to make our way to the final 15 minutes. Might almost be time for us here to go attacking, which is a bit of a concern, but a free kick, and we've got the ball here inside of the final third, but Castillejo there with a little bit of a speculative effort with his left foot, and curves that one high and wide. So still 1-0 down stats-wise. We're not looking that bad. And just before I go attacking, we do have a free kick. Let's see here if we can finally put the ball in the back of the net. Miguel again there, retreats back and gets that ball for us. Diarra here just takes his time, plays one over the top there for Piskunov, who puts it wide, and he's also offside. So Piskunov actually having a pretty poor game, but surprising. He finished last season in an absolute run of form, did our Ukrainian striker, and off the back of that, it might be time for us here to go a bit more attacking with only 5 minutes left in this game. So we'll chuck both our wing backs onto attack, as well as both our wingers also go up tempo and be more expressive while we're here, and also distribute quickly. I think that's all you want to do at this stage. There's not too much more that's going to help out here in this situation. We well and truly the team on the front foot, but unfortunately can see that very first shot there from Sporting. And now the highlights start now that we have gone attacking that. So we'll square that one for Piskunov, and in fact he was offside. Not too sure if he actually put that one away. Piskunov now drops down to a 6.2, so he has a shocking start to the season, and it might have cost us a trophy. That's the first time in quite a while that Benfica will not pick up this Portuguese Super Cup. We've been pretty hardly FM there by Sporting in this opening game of the Portuguese season. Not too sure what's going on here since we've ticked over into this new season. Our pre-season form honestly wasn't that bad off the back of getting knocked out of the Club World Cup and what turned out to be our first official game of this new season. And now we've lost the Super Cup here to Sporting. That first attack of the game where they scored being the big difference maker. Apart from that, we were definitely the best team in that game. Our attackers, though, were not that hot, so maybe some of those new signings still need a bit of time to figure out how we do things here at Benfica. That's always the issue when you sign some players for your first team to one that's already quite good. Maybe that's what's cost us there in that game, but really it's one that we should have been winning with an XG of 2.09 compared to their 0.37, but unfortunately they found a way to score, and we lose the Super Cup 1-0. Hopefully can bounce back against the Logo Thieves in our league opener before taking on Man United in the UEFA Super Cup. And going forward a week, hopefully we can bounce back here and pick up a European Super Cup instead of the Portuguese one, but bounce back here well and truly in the league with our home opener, a 5-0 thrashing of the Logo Thieves in Santa Clara Trincao with a hat-trick, the final one of those from the penalty spot, scoring all 3 of our first 3 goals. Also helped out there by Rodriguez with his first for the club in De Rosa. Played a lot better than Piskunov did in that previous game and made it 5-0, so definitely a lot better there in front of goal than we were in that Super Cup. It does mean the early stages sit on top of the Liga Portugal table, but obviously far too early to read anything into that. But another transfer update since that first game that we did play in today's episode. You can see there to another couple of players who might be departing the club, but here's what's happened off the back of that first game that we did play that lost to Sporting. Yu Kawamori has indeed made his way to Aston Villa, as has Bruno Vitorino to Albertine, so it definitely meant we needed to find someone there in that shadow striker role. Vitorino, as I said, someone from our under-23s we found who's better than him, so that was a pretty easy decision to let go of him for 7 mil. Kawamori, a bit more interesting. He was quite good for us here last season, but that potential win here was not too hot. Definitely a good player, but wasn't too sure if he truly suited that shadow striker role. So he's gone there to Aston Villa, that for a fee of 29 million. Probably could have got more considering its value now, but it's a good profit there for the club last season. Had a great one, but to be fair, so most of our guys, especially in the Portuguese league overall, 7.08, so to be fair, was a pretty good overall season, but did feel like we could upgrade, and that's what we've done with Jeremiah Hudlin coming in from Crystal Palace for a fee of 42.5 million, and he does look like a little bit more of a shadow striker type, can also do a job up front, but attribute-wise, just like those other couple of signings that we've made, should be a bit of an upgrade on what we've got rid of. So hopefully he'll prove to be a good signing, especially at only 20 years old and with a little bit of potential as well. So another new face here in this Benfica team. We'll see if he'll hit the ground running a little bit better than some of our other signings did in that previous game where we lost to Sporting, but this time going to be a bit tougher, albeit we are the Champions League holders, so might be the favourites for this one as we take on Matthias Dahm, aka Thomas Tuchel, depending on what day of the week it is and what passport he feels like pulling out. We take on his Manchester United team here, who are the Europa League defending champions. Their pre-season not too bad, coming off the back of a 3-2 win over Juventus. They are predicted, though, to only be the 5th best team in the Premier League, so hopefully this is a team that we can get past. They've still got Marcus Rashford, which is a little bit outdated now at 35 years old. Matthias de Ligt is still the captain there at Man U, but hopefully can get one over here on a club with a lower reputation than we have here at Benfica and make up for that lack of a Portuguese Super Cup with one here in Europe instead. Anytime you can beat a team like Manchester United, it is quite nice. So hopefully can at least pick up one of these Super Cups in today's episode. And we are going with our overall best 11, so it does mean that coming back in, we've got likes of Fortea as well as Ren. Just give Hudlin there a number for his debut here in a Benfica shirt. We made sure that he came in before this game did take place. Trincao, obviously in some quite good form with that hat-trick. He did score against the Logo Thieves, but this is a bit of a step up, and he probably has a bit of an idea about this Man United team having come in from Crystal Palace. So I'm hopeful that that might be a little bit of inside intel, even though it's not that inside, but hopefully here can bounce back from that FM we copped there in that first Super Cup and pick up here the one we've won so far in our career in the UEFA Super Cup. That certainly will make up somewhat for that disappointment in the Club World Cup in yesterday's episode. But the Man United also looks like they're going to go here with a 4-2-3-1. They are the away team. They've been drawn as though, so are wearing the green and white stripes. So hopefully that might put them off there. There's both the trophies. Thankfully, we are coming out on the side of the Champions League winners. We are the biggest team in Europe, even though can't win the Club World Cup. Seems like Chelsea have a mortgage on that trophy. But let's see if we can pick up here the Super Cup and make up for that loss in the Portuguese one, because as I said before, a little bit stung by that one, got FM'd in that game. Our attackers just couldn't get the job done. Let's hope here that Piskunov goes a lot better. Otherwise, De Rosa might make his way into this team sooner rather than later. Beefy Piskunov, there's been a few bids come in for him as well as Kalafatoğlu, but neither quite up to the value that we've agreed with the players that they'd be sold for. Piskunov, 47.5 million, and I think the Kalafatoğlu, it's up at 65. So if we lost both of those guys with a fair bit of money here in the club, but a poor giveaway there in midfield. It might have been from Diarra, another of our new signings, and Man United there on the counter attack through Everton, get things going there down their right hand side, and a big deflection there off another one of our new boys, and Nianzou does mean it's an own goal. To be fair, it's a pretty nice finish there, just inside of that near post. Just the wrong end of the field. So to be fair, this has not been a good start to the season in these Super Cups here at Benfica. To be fair, they are just Super Cups. If we improve by the time we get to the Champions League, it will all be fine. But unfortunately, it's Man United here on the attack so far in this first half, just able to deal with the danger there from that set piece. But some nice short passing there. Lunin completely wrong-footed, and Domino will put that one away. So unfortunately, we go 2-0 down here before half-time. And I feel well, since we've been 2 goals down here in a game with this Benfica team. In fact, that's a lie, because we played bye yesterday, but that one had the influence of a red card. This time, we just look a little bit unfortunately. So we're 2-0 down here in this European Super Cup, and that's not too good. This will be a pretty poor start to the season, especially with these transfers that were supposed to improve our team. Thankfully, a bit of interception there, and it does mean can try and get something going here on the counter-attack. Piskunov, though, with a loose touch, he really is struggling at the start of this season, but thankfully Renan there can track back and get us back on the ball. Castillejo there with an awful pass, and Højlund now does get in behind, but thankfully he's Rasmus Højlund. He can't finish his dinner, and a good save there from Andre Lunin, but that really should have been 3-0. Our midfielders might still need to link up that green combo like Louis and Castillejo did have last season as highlight. It does continue, thankfully, eventually stops, albeit not quite yet. In the first minute of 2 of injury time here in this first half, United are back on the ball. So this Man United team might actually be quite a decent one. This will be a bit of a stinging one too if we lost it, which is looking pretty likely, because Højlund this time puts it away. That will teach me for slagging him off. He makes it 3-0. We are getting bashed here by the Europa League champions. What on earth has happened to my Benfica team from last season? They look absolutely shot here in this game. Not too sure what's going on there with our defensive line. Just some poor giveaways when we've been on the ball, and it's proved costly. That is a woeful first half attacking-wise. We've done nothing in this game, and lots of players out there who are sucking something hard. So because of that, we'll be on Peretti for Fortea on a 6.1. Maybe should have looked there to improve our right backs. There's a few players out there too on 6.3s, quite a few as well on 6.4s, but we can't take everyone off. So Rui Silva will come off the own goal scorer, and Nianzou Henrique will come off. That will be for Matsoso, and I think as well we might give some game time to Rodriguez, even though he played a game only a few days ago, because Kalafatoğlu is not going too good in his first start officially of this new European season. But that was a woeful first half. We've told the guys that hopefully they improve in the second. Still a few players out there too on 6.4s, so they need to improve. To be fair, we've only got 1 sub left, so can't do too much here about this performance in this game so far. But thankfully, a terrible pass there at the back from Man United, and Matsoso can put it away. So maybe have found a way back into this game so far. Actually, it's going somewhat similarly to our game against Bayer Leverkusen yesterday. We're pretty awful in that first half, found a way back into it before bottling it thanks to Peretti. Hopefully that won't be the case again, but that was a poor giveaway there by the player who actually got that ball back there for United, and Matsoso right place, right time to put that one away. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come here in the second half, as now Rodriguez picks up a yellow card, so we'll just get him here to ease off tackles, especially with only 1 more sub we can make here in this game. Nadi at the back on a 6.4, maybe that's the one we need to make, but also Piskunov not going too well on a 6.5. Either the goals might be needed a bit more than defence late on in this game, but unfortunately United here are on the attack with just over 20 minutes left, and now they make their way inside the box, and Kobe Mainu gets some help there from the inside of the post. I think we'll take off Nadi. It will be for Miranda, because unfortunately Ronaldo is actually quite badly injured with the one he picked up in that Portuguese Super Cup. We'll update it off the back of this game, but unfortunately going to be 2 Super Cup losses, it feels like, here to start this season at Benfica. Was kind of hoping could go halfway to our trophy tally from last season, and we'll have none. So this is a pretty poor start to this season. To be fair, that is a wonderful finish, but far too easily they cut us apart there in defence, and this time not too much of an excuse, especially with that centre-back pairing that played so often for us in the Champions League as well as the Portuguese League last season. So unfortunately, that Matsoso goal, that was a little bit of a bolt from the blue. Apart from that, Man United have been all over us. So while we're here, we'll go up-tempo and a bit more attacking in terms of our roles, because really, there's not much else to do at 4-1 down with only 15 minutes left in this game. We've definitely not been as good as we were in that Super Cup back in Portugal, but even then, weren't that dominant, but certainly a lot better than Sporting were this time. They've been bashing us here. Have Man United and their goalkeepers coming up with some big saves there. Rui Silva had a double chance there and couldn't put that one away. So unfortunately, nothing going right for us here today with this Benfica team. We'll see if Silva this time can head that one home. No, he can't. Miranda is on the ball, back to Silva, and now Matsoso goes looking for a double and a penalty, but that one does not get blown. So still down here by 4-1. We'll go attacking late on and hopefully get this back to 4-2, put a bit of pride back in the scoreline, but unfortunately, it's Man United here who try and make their way out from back, albeit that is a really poor pass, and Rodriguez can get on the counter-attack and put that one away. So to be fair, he is looking pretty decent, our back up left winger that we did bring in to replace Manes, but that again, pretty interesting work there from Manchester United defender, and Rodriguez can put that one away into that right-hand corner. So thankfully, actually scoring some goals in this game, unlike the Sporting one, but our defence has been atrocious, and now a late free kick here to United, which they do head down. Lunin comes out to try and claim it, but no, they put that one away there through João Marques. We'll see if he's straight offside, and unfortunately he did not. So a goal that we scored there to try and get some respectability back into the scoreline. So much for that, because Man United just go up the other end there and score a free kick, and the Europa League champions are thumping us here with this Benfica team, which, as I was going to say earlier, a bit annoying, as Matthias Dahm was the Benfica manager before he took over that Manchester United job. So actually a bit of a blow against one of the former Benfica managers here in the save. Manchester United are the super champions of Europe, which would have been really nice off the back of that early defeat in the Portuguese Super Cup too, but unfortunately Thomas Tuchel / Matthias Dahm's men absolutely thump us there in that UEFA Super Cup. It's 0-2 to start this season at Benfica. So a bit of a come down there from our Champions League win to start this week. We get absolutely thumped there in the UEFA Super Cup, and also got FM'd in the Supertaca as well. So it does mean we've lost 2 trophy games here so far this season at Benfica, adding in as well that Club World Cup defeat, and it's not been too good 3 losses from our 4 official games here to start this season at Benfica. Thankfully, some teams in Liga Portugal are about to get a thrashing as we look to bounce back. But I think that will do it for today's episode. Hopefully, we can get some of our new signings to gel in a couple of Liga Portugal games before we come back for the next episode. And there might also be a few more transfers, hopefully can improve the team, albeit that's not gone too well so far, as you've seen in today's episode. But we might come back and take on Porto, seeing as we did lose to Sporting, and Porto is supposed to be just as good as them, albeit as we saw at the Club World Cup, that might not be the case, albeit these days they do actually have a manager. It's Patrick Vieira, the guy that we nearly replaced at Newcastle. He's now at Porto, so we'll see how they look under him. They did start the season with a win, but also a draw to Vitória Guimarães, so maybe that's the doubleheader we come back for in tomorrow's episode. Porto, who will see if they're any decent this year, and Vitória, who did take some points off the big teams last season away from home. That could be tricky as well, and surely during that little period as well, we'll get pretty close to wrapping up our transfer business, and also might get our fixtures for the Champions League this season too. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode, the transfers that we did before those first couple of games of the season, where we went 0-2 in the Super Cups. If you did, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Until tomorrow for a little bit of Liga Portugal action against Porto and Vitória Guimarães. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.